Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our meetup. This is Kristin Jacobsen from Flippa.com, and today he will tell us how to create and sell an online business. Hi, Kristin. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I was going to start the presentation in Bulgarian and say, welcome everybody, thank you for coming. Yeah, it was a little bit too difficult for me. So I really appreciate everyone coming and everyone's patience. So really today what I'm going to be talking about is really the path to exit. So how do you build an online business in the aim to actually sell that online business? So first question for everyone, can everybody understand my thick Australian accent? I want to make sure that you can understand me because sometimes it's difficult. I come from the north of Australia and sometimes it's a little bit difficult to understand my accent. So can everybody understand me okay? I'm not like talking gibberish? Yeah? All right, awesome. So a little bit about myself, who am I, and what do I know, and honestly, why should you even listen to what I have to say, right? Because everyone can, come up and speak, but ultimately, a little bit about myself. So, as I said, I'm from Australia. I now live in Paris. I work in the European region for Flippa as a business development rep, and what I'm going to talk about today is based on actual practical application, not just theory. So, I'm going to share with you what's worked for me personally and what's worked for the clients that I've worked with over the last 2 years of being in this industry. So, me personally, I built and sold my own online business in the financial services space in Australia for a 6-figure exit. So I've gone through the process of actually selling a business myself, and I've worked with countless clients over the last 2 years. I've listed more than $89 million worth of online businesses, and I've helped 68. Well, actually, it's more than 68 now. It's about 72 clients actually successfully sell their online business. So I'm not just talking about, theoretical, I'm talking about my own experience in helping clients be able to actually exit successfully. On top of that, I work with and talk to about 30 to 40 online business owners every single week. So at this stage, I'd almost be an idiot if I didn't understand the common threads or the common things that makes a successful and profitable exit versus what would actually fail in terms of an exit. So that's a little bit about myself, but I'd like to know a little bit about who we have here in the audience. So, who here owns a content site or has started a content site, like an affiliate, display ads, content site? Show of hands. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And who here has another type of online business that they have started and are growing in terms of like SaaS apps, maybe e-commerce, service-based business? Okay. So we've got a few other online business owners. So who here who runs an online business, who's actually thought about or is actually planning to sell that online business? Show of hands. Who's here that's thinking about maybe buying an online business? One, maybe, sort of 50-50. All right. So who has an online business but isn't planning to ever sell that online business? Like, if you own an online business, are you thinking about selling that online business, or are you just not considering it at all? Give me a show of hands. Okay, so ultimately, what we're going to cover today everything that I'm going to cover is in the context of if you are actually planning to sell an online business or thinking about selling an online business. And by the end of the presentation, I'm going to put a compelling case as to why you would even consider selling an online business that is bringing, a good amount of cash flow in, is a successful business, why you would even consider selling a business like that. I'm also going to talk about how the sort of process works and how to actually maximize the value of your business so that you can sell off a maximum profit. I'm also going to be talking about sort of strategic planning and what you need to consider or start preparing in terms of actually selling an online business. And then I'll go through a bit of Q&A. All right. So why sell? So typically, the reason why most people decide to actually sell a successful online business that's bringing in really good cash flow, things are going really well. The typical reasons is, number one, capital, right? So you can sell a business that's making about, like for a content side business, in a sense, you can sell a content business that's making about $5,000 a month for anywhere between 120 to 240,000 USD, right? So cash flow is good, but capital gives you a lot more options, right? So you're going to get 2 to 4 times the cash, 2 to 4 times the annual cash flow up front by selling a content business. Now, for people that own other online businesses, there's a different sort of valuation range. But having capital up front and locking in what you've already built and being able to use that capital for other purposes, whether it's to start another venture or a personal goal or to pay off some debt, you can lock that in by selling a business. The other reason why people would typically sell is to reduce the risk of losing value in their business. So one of the biggest examples of this right now is the content sites and the Google algorithm updates, right? So about 18 months ago, a lot of content site owners that I spoke to, they're like, things are going great. It's going to just continue and growth is just going to happen. And then, when was it, like November last year? I can't remember the exact dates, but Google had other plans. And so, there's a few examples that I could give you where people were, wanting to hold off because things are going really well. And then Google algorithm update happens, and now their business is worth half of what they could have sold it for. So reducing some of the risk. The other thing that I typically find is that for business owners, and this is true for myself, all of your financial net worth is tied up in one asset. So if something happens to that online business or to that asset, you're taking a big financial risk. So being able to reduce the risk, to be able to diversify the financial portfolio, that's something that can also be a reason why you would consider selling. The other reason is maybe you have a personal goal that you want to achieve. Maybe you want to buy a house, or maybe you want to just take some time off, have a sabbatical, or change up the lifestyle. And being able to actually sell your online business can help you do that. Or there might be a personal challenge or a business challenge that you have that if you did end up actually selling the business, it could solve that challenge. So as an example for that, if you have a lot of business debt, or you have a lot of leverage, or you don't have a lot of time and you want to free up some time for another business venture or for family reasons, selling the business can actually help you do that. And if you can get a good payday from selling a business, that's also a bonus. So when should you actually sell? So a lot of people sort of think about what's the right time to sell? I want to time the market perfectly. I'm going to sell when it's like at its absolute peak. But really, the flip side to that is asking yourself, you know, when should you sell? You should sell when it will actually help you, by selling the business, it will actually help you achieve a personal goal or a business goal, or if it'll actually solve a business goal, business challenge or a business goal, right? So rather than sort of timing the market and trying to, you know, max out and just ride the wave, because that's very unpredictable. This market sort of changes every 6 months or so. So really, rather than looking at selling just because you want to max out on the profit, actually think about like what is your outcome of actually selling the business. So, you know, maybe in this situation right now, you have a content site, you might not be getting like the maximum value that you could have got, you know, 12 months ago, or you could probably get more money for the business in 12 months' time. But maybe you have another business venture or another investment that is really, you know, you want to seize that opportunity. So rather than just trying to sell the business when it's at its maximum potential value, selling it so that you can free up time and energy. Does that make sense? Yep. For a few people? There you go. So one example of this, someone who, I wouldn't say they got greedy, but, you know, they were like, okay, the business is growing, things are going fantastic. So one of the examples that I have is a content site owner that had a business that was based on providing guides for Python code. You know Python code. So this was about maybe 18 months ago, and the business is growing. Like it was actually a very good content site. It was very cheap for him to produce content because he'd hire developers just to write up their tutorials on how to write Python code. He just forgot about the fact that ChatGPT can provide Python code for anybody, and anyone can ask ChatGPT for free. And so his traffic went from about 70,000 views a week to about 1,000. So he had a business that was worth about $800,000. I told him that there might be a bit of a risk with this ChatGPT thing because it was pretty new. And 6 months later, after the initial discussion, he came to me and said, "Oh, yeah, I want to sell the site now." Did a simple check on SEMrush, and I was like, "Sorry, mate, this business is not sellable anymore. You might be able to get about 5,000 for it." So, you know, trying to time the market, or, you know, just trying to maximize the potential for the business, that could be a very big risk. So the point I'm trying to make here is that, you know, rather than just trying to, you know, get the most out of the site, you've really got to think about what is it that you're trying to achieve by actually selling the site, and if selling the site makes sense to achieve that goal, or to resolve a challenge in a sense, focusing on that rather than the end of the paycheck. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. So let's talk about Google algorithm updates, because for a lot of people that comes up quite often. So right now in the market, if you do have a content site that's monetized on display ads or affiliate or whatnot, I forgot who here has like a content site again? You? Who else? I'm pretty sure there was more than one, two. There was like at least 6. Yeah. So, okay. So let's say if you have a content site and it has been affected by the Google algorithm updates, first thing I could tell you is that you're not alone in that sense. Like I've seen, in a technical sense, in a fundamental sense, sites that are flawless in terms of the EEAT, everything they're doing is by the board, right? And I'm not going to name names, but we have some very well-known people in the SEO space that are very popular, that are based in Asia, and even their sites, they're absolutely flawless. Like technically, they're brilliant, but they've also been affected by Google algorithm updates. But the good news for that is that even if you got hit by a Google algorithm update, the business is still sellable. You can still sell that online site. Now, you can't sell it for what it was prior to the Google algorithm update, but there's still buyers out there that are looking for fundamentally good content sites. They may have the opportunity to recover the site, or there might be a strategic reason why they want to buy that site. So there's a big misconception at the moment that, like, basically if your site has been hit by a Google algorithm update, like, you can't sell it. But that's not true. And so that sort of leads me into another sort of framework, is that there's a lot of changes that happen in the online business space, right? You've got tech, you've got tactics, you've got algorithms. That changes very rapidly, right? And basing your business or trying to sell your business based on like the rapid changes that are happening, that is something that is going to create a lot of potential risk or unknowns. But on the flip side to that, there are some things that just don't really change, or they change very slowly. So what do I mean by that? I mean, human needs, human behaviours. So if you think about content sites, for example, people are still trying to, research for people that they can trust, that they can make a good purchasing decision, and they want a good experience, they want to be part of a community. These things don't really change that much, right? So AI changes, the way that I'm not a really technical SEO expert. I know the basics, but you guys know a lot more than I do. So a lot of that changes, but the fundamentals don't really change, right? So people still want to be part of a community. They still want to be, feel like they're significant. They still want to feel like they're right by making the right decisions. Those things don't change. So if you have an online business that adds value, that is something that drives human needs, rather than trying to build a business just based on the latest and greatest tech tactic or SEO tactic, the fundamentals are the things that are really going to stand out. Because in this industry, a lot of people sort of miss the fundamentals. They're looking at the 20% of the tactics, the things that they think could drive growth, then they miss the fundamentals. Does that make sense? So as I said, what if you are thinking about or ever consider selling an online business, the number one question you should be asking yourself is, what is my outcome? Why, if I sell this business, what would that actually mean to me? So, will selling help you actually reach a personal business goal? Or will selling a business solve a challenge that I have? And that's what you should really be asking yourself if you ever consider selling a business. So anyway, let's talk about the process. So in terms of the process, and I really wish I had the slides up right now because this is more of a visual, but there's basically 6 steps to selling an online business. The first step is getting an actual, accurate, realistic valuation for the business. Now, there's a lot of factors about that. We could have a whole presentation about it. But one thing that we do have at Flippa is an algorithm that can basically take what the market sentiment is and what previous businesses have actually sold for, and have a live sort of update or change in terms of the valuation. So to go through what a valuation is really quickly, whatever the adjusted net profit is of your business, and I say adjusted meaning only the essential revenue and expenses for your business, times a multiple, and for content site's sake, it's between 2 to 4 times the annual net profit at the moment. And that multiple changes based on the quantitative and qualitative factors of your business. I'm not going to go into the detail of that for this presentation, but more than happy if you are looking for, what your what your business is possibly worth. That's more of a one-on-one sort of conversation. So once you get a valuation and you get an asking price for the business, you prepare the business for a sale, and then you go to market. And then once you go to market, you've obviously got to try and find buyers that might want to, make an offer for your business. And then once you find the buyers and you start to receive offers, and if the offer is good, you accept the offer through what's called an LOI, which is a letter of intent, which is basically an agreement that says, we like your business, Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller. We would like to buy your business on the condition that we check things first through due diligence. And if everything checks out, then we'll make it a final agreement, right? And then, so once that offer is made and accepted, it goes through what's called due diligence, which is basically, checking everything that was represented or, stated is correct and accurate. And then from there, there's settlement, the legal agreements, all that sort of stuff. Now, for the purpose of this presentation, Flippa offers all of those services built into our platform. And we've also got M&A advisors, people that have got experience and worked with Goldman Sachs, Clearbank, Macquarie, Meta. We've got a very high caliber of team members that can help you guide through that process and help you prepare the business and really maximise the potential value and the strategic planning, right? Now, that might sound like it's going to be very expensive, but in actual fact, we're one of the cheapest brokers in the industry. And the reason we are is because we use or leverage off technology first and foremost, and then the final bits are sort of done with the strategic planning with their advisors, right? So, maximising value. First things first, there is a bunch of different things to consider about the business and the quality of the business that changes the potential multiple of the business, right? So, as I said before, if you're looking to maximise the potential value of a business for sale, first things first is the financials to your business. If you've got things like, I don't know about people in Bulgaria, but in Australia, we like to not pay as much tax as we can, right? So we like to reduce the amount of tax that we pay. I'm not sure if it's the same in Bulgaria, but yeah, it's the same? Okay. Yeah, we've got some interaction there. So things like, let's say you've got a content site and you've got, in your financials, you've got things like, marketing expenses, which is actually travel expenses. And then you've got motor vehicle expenses, and you've got, entertainment, for example. All of these things that aren't really necessary to actually operate the business, those things are removed from the financials for a sense of valuation because they're not necessary. So as an example, a content site, really it's the revenue of affiliate display ads, maybe you've got guest posting, whatever. And then the essential costs would be your hosting, your plugins, content, because content, you do need to continue producing content for the business to sustain itself. And that's pretty much it. So if you've got anything else, and I bring that reason up because a lot of the time when people use our valuation tool, they actually put in like their actual net profit. And if you're really good at tax optimization, the net profit should be zero, right? But that's not actually the reality. So that's the first thing. And then the second part to it is the multiple. So if you've got a really new online business that isn't proven, that's in a very competitive niche, it's not very differentiated, you've got a lot of like spammy backlinks or something that's like, or content that's just obviously created from AI and the quality is poor and just overall like, just not a good business, then you're going to be looking at a lower multiple. But if you had a business, for example, we had a business called All About Cookies, which was a content site. It was 13 years old. It'd been operated for a very long time. They had 93% of their direct traffic from top-tier backlinks. It was very low maintenance. The owners of these guys, I don't know if they even logged into their WordPress admin for 6 months or something. And, they had about a $5 per page RPM, right? So it was a very good, established, long-term business. And they ended up getting acquired for 7.2 times annual net profit, right? Which is almost double the max that we're seeing right now, right? So just to give you a bit of contrast, but if you're looking to get a bit of a valuation or understand, what your business could be worth, that's something that the team and I at Flippa can do. So with that being said, to summarize the maximizing value, first things first, you got to actually have a business, right? If you're treating your content site as a bit of a get money quick sort of thing, and trying to hack your way to growth and to get like a quick money fast, that's okay to begin with. But if you're looking to actually capitalize and make some real money, then establishing a business that adds value to the users and has some differentiation, has the fundamentals there, that's going to go a long way in terms of the value of your business. So strategic planning, in terms of like preparing things and going to market, finding buyers, all of the process. I mean, let me ask you a question on this. So, let's say that you're looking for an SEO expert. Right. Would you prefer to hire someone that is doing SEO for the first time? Or would you prefer someone that's done it thousands of times before, has a proven track record, knows what they're doing? Like, which one would you prefer? The second one, right? Cool. We're on the same page. And would you prefer someone with like expertise and experience, or someone that is just trying to get in the game, or is a bit of an amateur and doesn't really know what they're doing? Yeah. And would you prefer to let's say that you even knew how to do it yourself, and you could do it, but you've got all these other projects going on, and you've got other more important priorities. Would you prefer to actually do it yourself, or would you prefer to delegate it to someone that knows what they're doing? If you know that they know what they're doing. Yeah. So when it comes to selling an online business, it's the same thing. And a lot of the times, I think people that I speak to that are looking to sell their online business, they think that maybe I can do it myself, and if you have like a $1,000 to $5,000 business, kind of small, not really serious, sure. Like try and go onto a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group, try and sell it yourself, by all means. But if you're talking about some good money, meaning 50,000 or more, then really having a team of experts like Flippa, for example, that have done it thousands of times, we know what we're doing, that's something that even if you pay us like 5 to 10% of the actual price of the sale, it's going to save you a lot of time, and you're actually going to sell it for more than if you try and do it yourself. And trust me, I've gone through the process. The biggest mistake I made in terms of actually selling a business was I did it myself the first time, right? And that's why I've got a few grey hairs now. So even though I know the process now, if I was going to sell a business again, even knowing what I know, I would still get somebody else to do it, because it is an effort to do that, right? And there's a few nuances to it that, if you're trying to save 5 to 10%, cool, but you're going to lose more than that in terms of time, energy, and effort, and actual value in the business if you try and do it yourself. All right. So that's the pitch for using a broker like Flippa. So with that being said, in terms of buyers, right? So we've got $107 billion of liquidity in our market. So if you've looked at trying to sell the business and trying to find buyers, we've got the buyers. Right, we've got about 56% of our buyer pool is from the US, and the rest of it is global. So Flippa's been around for about 15 years. We've got $107 billion of quoted buyer pool funding. We have about $58 billion verified funding, meaning the buyers have proven that they actually have the funding. So if you're looking for buyers, we have them, and we've got the biggest buy pool available anywhere in the industry. So with that being said, that's pretty much it, I think. I'll sort of finalise this with, we have as online business owners, we have such a unique opportunity to build something that is an asset that can be sold for a pretty decent amount of capital. And that's something that I think is really underestimated in terms of other types of investments. Right? So you can literally turn your skill, your knowledge, your expertise into something that creates capital, and then take that capital and then redirect that into another venture and just keep repeating, rinse and repeating, right? And building wealth through that vehicle is something that is an opportunity for us. So the reason I'm actually here in Varna, in Bulgaria, is because, I spoke with Georgie initially, 18 months ago? You even listening, Georgie, or what? Georgie! Yeah, So I met Georgie about 2 years ago, and we initially spoke through Empire Flippers, which was another online business brokerage. And at the time that we initially spoke, he had a very good business throwing my way, and there was a few things that if he just changed a little bit in terms of selling it, in order to sell it, he was going to maximise the potential growth. Anyway, over a period of 6 months, he ended up actually selling it through Flippa. That's a whole nother story. But he turned something that he had built from scratch into a 6-figure exit. And now he's able to use that 6 figures to be able to build more wealth. And that's the opportunity that we have here right now to do this. So, if there's anything that we can take away from this, is that we have an opportunity to build wealth through what we're skilled at in this room, and taking that opportunity is something that may not be an opportunity in years to come. So that's it for the presentation. I'm here for Q&As and some beers and meet people and all that and have a good time. So thank you, everybody.
Here's a question. Can I have a question? Do you have instances where a business is, let's say, an affiliate, but
Hold on, you need to. Sorry.
do you have instances where, for example, do you have instances where the business who is selling is, let's say, affiliate, but the buyer is buying the domain, is making it equal or SaaS or something else? Is that like a one-off thing? Does it happen from your experience?
So what you're saying is there's a person that wants to sell their business.
Yeah, and the buyer is making it something in general completely different. Like he's making it still affiliate, he's making it equal or SaaS or some different way of monetization.
Yeah, so if I understand the question, you're asking if there's someone who looks to sell their business, and let's say it's an affiliate business or something, is there buyers that might have like a SaaS or an e-com that actually buy want to buy?
Yeah, completely changed the
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, that's started to become a bit more of a trend in the last 12 months, where specifically for e-commerce businesses, where let's say, for example, the pet niche, dogs. So someone has a huge following and community and traffic for dogs, but they're affiliates for Amazon, right? Or Chewy.com. And then you've got a private label e-commerce business over here that's got really good products, but they've got like, they're spending a ridiculous amount of money on PPC and paid advertising. So for them to buy a site that's already got the audience and the traffic and to just plug in their products, that's starting to become really popular for e-commerce businesses in that sense. So I'm not quite sure about like SaaS, but definitely for e-commerce and traffic. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I have like 4 or 5.
We'll have one and then we'll have a...
I give you the 5 and you choose which one you want.
Okay.
I don't want to bore everyone here with 5 answers. So the first one is, who are your buyers in general? Okay. The second one is what the average sale that you yourself sell for usually. For example, you say that you are in the 6 figures sometimes, but have you sold for 5 million, for 10 million, for more? Yeah. And who are your buyers going into this question? My question was, is it corporations, is it industry, or is it domainers, or is it people that are also in the business of buying and selling websites? Then you also already answered one of them, was about the fabric before and before. And do you also buy domains for all the websites? And how is the due diligence done? If you can tell us a little bit more about that. I guess that is the books that the owner shows to you and how AI has affected business in the last 2 years. So you choose.
You come prepared. I like it. You literally have a list written down. Okay, so to answer your question about who are the buyers or what kind of buyers we have, I don't mean to sound really broad here, but I mean we've got $108 billion worth of verified funding, not verified funding, quoted funding. And there's over 532,000 registered buyers in our buy pool, right? So with that volume, the answer to your question, what kind of buyers we have, is all kinds. But I think maybe, are you looking for like what kind of buyers we would have for a business like yours? Is it?
It could be, but
Yeah.
But I wonder if you sell also past $1 million for 5 or 10.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about like size. Okay. So we've got private equity funds, venture capitalists, family offices. We've got guys that are just trying to get started, and we call it the FAFO method, right? And excuse my language, but in Australia, the FAFO means fuck around and find out, right? So they just want to buy a business, get started, like have a bit of a gamble, a bit of a play around. So we've got a very broad market, but in terms of businesses, so I think the largest business that we've sold was about 13 million, but we go all the way down to like $100, and that's the almost the benefit and the curse of Flippa, because on Flippa you're going to find a lot of terrible businesses for sale, like if I'm being honest. But then on the higher end of things, we've got businesses that are for sale that aren't even on the marketplace. They're private, they're like exclusively only invited by private equity, venture capital funds. Yeah, so All About Cookies, for example, that was a private deal. That didn't even go on market, right? So yeah, we have a very unique positioning and platform that can sell a $100 starter site all the way up to a fully fledged online business. Now, I would argue that's past $10 million, or if it's like a public company or there's a lot of owners and stuff, that's probably not something that we'd be great at, but we still have buyers, right? And we're ever evolving our platform and our capabilities to be able to do that. But at this stage, at this moment, if you had a $100 million SaaS business that had a board of investors and 20 different owners and stuff, we probably couldn't do it. Does that answer your question? Oh, and due diligence, it depends on the deal and it depends on the buyer, right? It varies quite a bit. Like for Georgie, for example, what was your due diligence? Like 3 days?
Yeah, 3-4 days.
And I don't even think he really checked it.
Yeah, he just transfer the domains and that was all.
Yeah. So it can be like a 3-day, even no due diligence, or it could be a full 60 days. And one thing I would add to that is that if you're trying to do a deal directly with a potential buyer, that's where they start to play games, right? And I know this personally because my due diligence period was about 6 months, and I sold my business to the largest financial services business in Australia at the time. So it was me as a solo operator with a friend of mine who was kind of like a legal guy that really wasn't an expert in due diligence versus a whole team of experts in due diligence and acquisitions. So, going direct and trying to, compete, especially in that position, that's a very hard game. But if you use Flippa, for example, we know the game. We know what kind of tricks that they try and pull over sellers. And so, we can really keep that tight. Yeah, so it depends on the value. Actually, so here's one more plug for you guys. If you're actually looking to work with Flippa at some point soon, I would do it quickly because in next week we're actually doing a pricing change. So it's going to be about 1%, 2% more if you decide to list with us next week.
How has AI changed the business?
How has AI changed?
Your sellers and
Yeah.
your business.
So, with AI for our business, so what we actually do is once that business is listed with us, so I just want to make sure, is everyone still getting value out of me? Yeah, okay. So with AI, the biggest change that we've had in our business is that because we've got such a large buyer pool, once a business is listed with us, we know exactly the preferences and the price range and the budget and what our buyers are looking for. So we can take 500,000 plus potential buyers and pull that into a short list of buyers of 12, for example, and we can invite them to look at the business from day one, right? So we've used AI to be able to enable that, which is something that is not available in any other marketplace or brokerage. in terms of businesses in general, what we've found is people that have like just tried to make a quick buck and set up a quick starter site and just use AI, and, they're really not like, in my opinion, they're not really serious business owners, right? They're just trying to make a quick buck. So for those guys, those that have tried to build those sites or those businesses, it's been okay, but then, they're completely unsellable, right? Whereas those that have like leveraged AI and used AI to be able to enhance what they already had fundamentally, that's fundamentally sound, that has made it more attractive for buyers, generally speaking. Does it answer your question? All right, awesome. Any other good? I love the fact that this guy had a list. I love it, man. We're gonna catch up and have the other. Yes, sir. Yeah. Wait, did you write it down?
No.
Oh.
I just remember. So how did buying and selling websites change after the recent Google Core updates? Do you see any change of buyers and sellers' behavior? And is it common to buy and sell entire portfolios of websites? Let's say 5 to 10 websites in a similar niches. Is this common?
So the first question is, what's been the change since the Google algorithm updates for content sites, specifically? Or
I don't know, in general.
in general, yeah.
Content sites as well.
And the second question was, do we typically find that we sell portfolios of sites?
Yeah, if this even happens.
Yeah, I mean, well, definitely with portfolio sites, we have the capability to do that, and we have done that, but it's quite rare. It's quite rare. And one example is actually there's a guy in the US who I actually invited to the Varna event, but it turns out that he was from Varna, Illinois, US. And I was like, oh, sorry about that. And he's like, oh, well, but actually I've got a portfolio of sites that there's like the suffix of all of those sites is like help wanted. So he's got like marketing help wanted, hospitality help wanted, and he's got a bunch of those sites. So yeah, we do come across them. They're pretty rare, but yeah, that's definitely it's a lot easier if they're in the same niche. If they're in like completely different niches or sort of related niches, it becomes a bit difficult because it's very hard to find a buyer that maybe is only interested in the home and garden niche and doesn't want anything to do with hospitality. But if it's all in hospitality and there's a lot of assets and a lot of like traffic that they can just plug in their stuff, cool. So yes, we do it, but it's quite rare. Now, with this presentation, I was actually going to show you the exact database of results that Flippa has in terms of content sites and the change that's happened. So, for those, I do have the slides, like the full slides available. Just ask for my QR code and I'll send it to you. But in the last 12 months for content sites specifically, Flippa's sold 2,880 content sites in the last 12 months from yesterday. And the average sale multiple was about 2.5 times, right? And the average time it took for us to sell them was 45 days, right? But 12 months prior to that, it was 3,982 sites, so a lot more volume. 39 days, so a lot quicker. And the sale multiple was 3.2. So there's definitely a change in the market for content sites. Now, part of that is Google algorithm updates and the buyers being like sort of risk adverse. But the other part of it is that the prior 12 months, buyers were sort of very hot for content sites. Whereas now they're not so much. And so people that are looking, that own content sites, they're sort of holding off there because they think, maybe I'll just wait it out for another 12 months and I can get more money. There's like a disparity between what buyers are really actually willing to pay and what sellers think that they can sell the business for. And that's a bit of a sticking point right now. So that's the change for content sites, at least anyway. Now, e-commerce, SaaS, apps, like all these things, that's a different thing. But yeah, I'm more than happy to have that conversation. Cool. All right. Any other questions? One more question. Awesome. All right. Let's do it.
Hi. So I have a question. Let's say I have a very good account, and my real yearly profit is 1,000 euros.
Zero.
Yeah, but on accountant level, it's 10 times lower. So how can I prove that my real income is 10 times higher if I don't solve this business? Actually, it's an accounting trick, because that is lower.
Yeah.
Lower,
Absolutely. Okay, so to answer this question, so the question was, if he's got a really good tax and accounting advisor, so he's apparently not earning a lot of money. So how does one show that he actually is earning a decent amount of money? Good question. So what kind of business do you have?
E-commerce.
E-commerce. Okay, so in your line items of expenses, I would imagine, and I can tell you this because I come from an accounting background, so I understand. So in your expenses, do you have things like, you've come here for an event, you had dinner, you're having some drinks, you're claiming that, right? Yeah, exactly. So for e-commerce, for valuation purposes, the only things that are actually relevant and that you would need to obviously show in terms of through due diligence is the revenue that you've got for the business, less cost of goods sold, less advertising costs, less essential customer support, administration, that sort of thing, and that's it, right? So how you would actually show that is you would have and this is what our advisors do for you, is they'll take your whole financial statement and they will go, okay, you've got travel expenses, entertainment, professional development, insurance, interest, all of these things. We would take that and we'd add another line item to it, another section, that's called add backs. So let's say you have $10,000 worth of add backs, then that would be added to your net profit. And that's how we represent it. It's as simple as that. So because buyers also know that, we're all trying to reduce tax, right? Answer your question? Sweet. All right. All done? If you want to ask any other questions, I'm going to be hanging around, having a few beers and having a good time. And I want to thank Georgie and Nikolai for putting this event on too. Really appreciate it, and hopefully you got some value out of the session.
Great job, man. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you everyone for coming and for listening. I hope it was valuable for you. You can stay longer, grab a drink in the bar, network with each other, and speak with Kristin even more. So yeah, that's everything for tonight. Next month, the last Wednesday of the month, we'll have another event. So you can follow the Facebook page, the Facebook group, and see who will be the next speaker. Thank you.